Thank you everyone for listening on Spotify or I'm watching on YouTube. It's another episode of NRG Insights, and this is where we just get insights into the financial services world, mortgages, lending, anyone kind of prominent in the industry, and kind of get their take on a few of their opinions on stuff and challenges and pitfalls, etc. So we're going for our lender series at the moment. So today I've got Andrea Glasgow from Hampshire Trust Bank with me. Thanks for joining me, Andrea.
Hello and good morning. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So let's just start with talk to me about your financial services journey up to where you are now.
Okay. So I was a cashier. So I started my big journey at Chelsea Building Society many years ago. I think from memory, God, how many? Probably 12, 14 years ago. Quite some time ago. As a cashier, right behind selling savings accounts to the little ladies living in Worthing. So I live in a retirement town. So it's kind of like, it's never your trip, your hip and trendy uncle or cousin or sister. It's always like your older generation. So we were always absolutely swamped. So started my career as a cashier, selling savings accounts, the little red book, and then got headhunted by someone that worked at Barclays. So then went to become a personal banking manager for Barclays. And the day I arrived, I already knew that I wanted to be a premier banking manager, which was basically looking after high net worth clients.
Yeah. How did you know that? How did you know that when you started?
Because I wanted to, for me, there is nothing better than having a really solid relationship, whether that be with your staff or whether that be with your client bank. I really like having a one-to-one relationship. And I knew when I was a personal banker, it was just up and down. Like you couldn't build those relationships because you were the first person had gone and the next person was coming in, and it wasn't really like that.
And you're not really relevant to their life either as much, are you, as you are with the wealthy side of things?
Exactly. And the wealthiest, it's really odd because you should never judge a book by its cover, and I never do. But I would see some of the wealthiest people just kind of turn up in tracksuits. They just had no care, they were driving a Fiesta. There was just none of this kind of, putting on a front, etc. So, I knew that I wanted to be a premier banking manager pretty much from the day that I started, and successfully became a premier banking manager. I think it was about 18 months later. And it was don't get me wrong, it was a great job. We went through numerous rounds of whether it's working for the bank, etc., because there's so many of us. And I was working quite far from home at the time. Well, I say far, it's like 40 minutes in the car. Far now.
Seemed like a long time then before you become a BDM.
But now it's like literally like a jog up the road for me now. But so it was like 40 minutes up the car. So I then was lucky enough to be brought back to more of the local area, so I started working just up the road from where I live. And I knew at that point, so I'd been working with some high net worth clients, but also working with a lot of the branch team, and I'd been seeing like the BDMs coming in from Woolwich and Barclays and going out on the road, and it's kind of when my mind started going, oh, okay, what do I want to do next? And that's when I decided that I wanted to be a BDM. The thing is with Barclays is they kind of want you to go through your CMAT, be fully qualified as a mortgage advisor. And at that point, I was in a position of, it was all based on grading, and I didn't want to get downgraded in order to kind of get a promotion.
So it's a very corporate thing, isn't it?
It was all like, it kind of goes B2, B3, B4, B5, and then you get to VP, and I was going to go from B5 to B4, and it kind of just didn't sit right with me. And I thought so we kind of went through a bit of a training program. So they were saying, right, this is what you need to do. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then a vacancy became available and someone else got it.
Right.
And I kind of thought, right, okay, so now is my time to go. So I sat there in the office and Googled BDMs. And I came up with this recruitment consultant, which I still speak to on a regular basis, in terms of just catching up in general. And I just Googled recruitment consultants looking for BDMs. And I rang this lady up, Kerry, and I rang up and I said, look, this is where I am. This is where I want to go. I want to get to. What's your advice? And so we were just talking for about 20 minutes. I said, look, I know that I'm not ready. I said, all of my background is dealing with direct clients. I've got no broker contact, but I just kind of want that tip in order to get me to where I feel I'm best suited and actually where I want to go next. She said, pop me your CV over. So I sent it over and she said, I think I've got the job for you. And at that point, I was like, wow, God, I was really nervous, really nervous. And do you know what? I will share this with you.
Mm-hmm.
I would never even drive on the motorway at that point.
And you BDM.
So I was like, my half was driving me to this interview. Alex Upton, who recruited me, doesn't even know this because I didn't actually want to drive on the motorway in order to get into Basingstoke to go for an interview. So I was petrified.
As someone who's going to be out on the road for a living.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy. So anyway, went and met Alex, and yeah, she's my biggest supporter.
Yeah,
she's
we have touched on that before, haven't we? But we'll touch on mentorship and that kind of thing. But she's been a big influence on your career, isn't she?
Hugely. You kind of get to a point where you think I'd been at Barclays for 10 years, so I've probably been in the industry for much longer. It's probably like 18, 19 years now.
We keep skipping years. I find this about everyone. We always go, I think I've been doing it for 10 years, and I look and go, maybe 16.
I know, I should really know.
We've all cut out a middle bit, it's fine.
I mean, it probably COVID had something to do with it. I feel like I've lost 2 years of my life. So yeah, she's had a huge influence in my career. She's some of the decisions that I've made, I've always kind of lent on her and said, what do you think? And I still do. But yeah, she gave me an opportunity. I'd been, when you sit there and you've been working for a business for 10 years and you say to them, this is what I want to do. And I loved my days at Barclays. I really did. There was nothing wrong. I've still got friends from Barclays. I'm not saying that at all. But when you sit there and you say, this is really what I want to do, but there's very little support. And then you go and meet someone for the first ever time and she can see what you bring, the skill, capability. You kind of sit there and you have to think, why would I not jump ship? Yeah. Because do you think
that's just because Alex is the way she is, or do you think that you get lost in the corporate world of stats and KPI, everything? It's very hard to personally look at someone and go, they've got it, because it all works on a slightly different grading, like you said before.
I was always a staff number. I still know my staff number to date. So it's 8261946. Yeah. But for me, having spent 10 years there and being really loyal to that business, you turn up, you get given a staff number, you leave, you're just a staff number. And I still speak to people. And you will always have some friends will be friends for life. But I was very corporate. I had my Barclays socks on, not I have my Barclays socks on. Everything was blue. You cut me off, I was blue. And it was a massive jump. It was. I didn't have a client book. I had no brokers whatsoever. But she took the leap and paid for me.
Let's go into that actually, because obviously there will be people speaking, and I speak to people obviously given the recruitment side of things, and there'll be people listening who want to take that leap from maybe corporate to the other side of the world, to the specialist lending and that kind of thing, where it is a little bit more, especially then when you did it, a bit more sort of flying by the seat of your pants, wasn't it? It was an interesting market. How do they take that jump? Because like most people will think that I haven't got a client bank, haven't done that. What kind of advice can you give for those?
I think you've got to believe in yourself. It is hard work. I kind of inherited a client book when I turned up. So there was a broker bank there in the South East, which is where I was managing. But I kind of recreated my own as such. But there were long hours. You've got to be resilient. There will be doors that are closed in your face. And when I say long hours, I'd probably start at 6 and finish at 11. But I was so determined. So if you've got a dream, you've just got, just give it everything. But you've got to really want it. Yeah. It's not a half-assed dream where it's like, well, I might,
I love that, it sounds good. We speak to so many people who think it's the easy way out, right? So if you're a bit fed up with a broker or, whether you're a bank and they go, BDM, that'd be nice, because they see the BDM come in and see them, give them donuts. What they don't see is the fact that they've been up since 6 and then they got to sort their problems out between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. before they're back on the road again.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting, you've got to want to do it and you've got to love it.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's really weird because we see it on the flip side. So we have some people that have worked in a lender that go and work as a broker because we see the prop fees getting paid. So, it's like
The
either
grass is
way.
always greener, isn't it? You always
That's
want what
it,
you don't have.
absolutely. And I think it does really boil down to you can be successful. I think, but you've got to be determined and you've got to really, really want it. Yeah. Because that will make a difference.
But that's on both sides of the fence as well, right? Because I'd see some really bang average brokers that don't earn any money want to be BDMs because they think it's easier. But actually, if you haven't got that commitment to the industry, or you don't really care, or you want an easy route, broker or BDM or lender or wherever you're going, you're going to be, average is average, right?
Absolutely. And if you speak to, I think the way I lead the team is every single one of them treats it like it's their business. So every region, I will say to them, when they ask me a question, I'll say, obviously I'll give them the answer, but we get there together. So it's never me dictating what I think they should do. It's a case of, what do you think your business needs? And your business is your region. Who do you think you need to spend more time with? What do you think you can do in order to make that broker journey better?
Can I touch on that? Can I touch on that a sec? Just because that's really good coaching, right? And is one of my biggest downfalls is that I'm an okay manager. I love my job, but I'm a crap coach, because you're saying that because you know the answer, right?
Yeah.
So you have to stop. I know, yeah. And I know and I had a conversation with a coach that was coaching me, and she said, you're stunting people's growth by keep giving the answer. But I'm a natural problem solver. That's what I love doing. So it's like, here's the problem. But did you learn that? Or does that come naturally to you?
You know what? I can honestly tell you, I've learned so much. I've learned so much from going from head of new business, being appointed to sales director.
Yeah.
When I was head of new business, when I first came in, it's the first team I've ever led.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a bit like, if there's a problem, let me go and fix it. And
that's exactly my problem. Yeah.
And you actually, what happens is you sink because your workload is too big, and you actually find that you're dropping things. And those things are actually really important, because it could be the fact that you've not done some training with someone, or you've not had a one-to-one with someone, or you've not done observation. So it took some time.
Yeah.
But it isn't supernatural for me to say, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
But
I think I forget. I just forget to say it.
Absolutely. But I think it wasn't until I started doing it did I actually realise it was quite a successful way to coach people.
Yeah.
So we will come to that answer together, but it will never be me saying, I think you should do this. Yeah. Because ultimately
they kind of don't. It's not like they don't want that either. They quite like it if you made the decision for them.
Yeah, of course.
And then it's kind of off your plate, isn't it? Yeah. But like I said, you don't grow, do you? No one grows when you're making all the decisions. But for me, it's one of my biggest things I have to learn in business is the actual coaching someone, rather than just going, I'll fix that. Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is really tough. And I think as soon as you become a leader, your destiny is in your team's hands.
Yeah.
So it no longer, I'm only as successful, and I will always continue to repeat this. I'm only as successful as the team I'm managing. Yes, you can teach skill set, but you really, there are certain types of people that I like to recruit.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm trying to build out, and I will build out the strongest team of specialist mortgages. I know for a fact.
What do they look like? What do those guys look like? What are the traits that you look for in a good sales team?
Passion. So that's passion, drive. Generally people that you can just, like when you just speak to someone and it's instant. You can build a relationship very quickly. If I can build a relationship very quickly with them, and they're in an interview situation, they can build relationships really quickly with brokers.
Yeah.
So, you'll see a lot of them are on LinkedIn. Another lender reached out the other day and he said, "You're bloody everywhere." I was like,
it's on purpose. I love that as well. Do you know what? I think that people said to me, "You're everywhere I look." I go, "It is not an accident. This is marketing.
Absolutely.
You will forget about me in a minute if I'm not in front of you all the time. Doesn't matter how good you are at your job, people will forget about you in no time." That omnipresence of a sales team has to, like, I don't think people appreciate how important it is, because you've got to be good at your job. You've got to have a good product. But actually, it doesn't mean anything if no one sees you.
Do you know what? I think we take it for granted how many lenders are on a broker's panel. Yes, you have your select panel, in terms of your go-tos, but we become complacent, I think, sometimes
Mhm.
with. And I always say to the guys, send an email the night before with all the USPs. What are you going to talk about? Remind them that they've got a meeting. Remind them of their USP, so you can go in there and hopefully they'll say, right, I've actually got a deal for you. It's just
Yeah.
basic little things that actually are going to make you really successful. But also, regardless of how many times you've seen that broker, just remind them, because there could be something you mention just like that, just flippantly, and it's actually they've got a deal they've been struggling with.
Do you know what?
Most
I've
of the
got
time we
people that
just
I've
have
worked with for
conversations.
like, I've got people I've worked with for 10 years and they'll go, oh, and it'll be always something because I've always dealt with their sales team and their underwriting team, wherever it is. And they'll go, oh, I didn't think you could do that. And you think, well, that's not on you, that's on me
I
because I
know,
didn't say it.
that's
And
right.
because you just assume that everyone knows that you work with everything and everyone knows your products. And actually, these are guys that work with me for years. It's just because I've only ever done one thing for them. They haven't
Hmm.
known it. So it's really important, isn't it, to just make
Yeah,
sure everyone knows
absolutely.
exactly what you do. I think, like you said, it's a bit complacent to just assume that
You do.
everyone
It's
knows.
easy though, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, if you're seeing a broker 12 times a year, well, and some of them we do, some of our real key
yeah, yeah,
partners we see 12 times a year. There is so much criteria, but there could be something that you've left out.
yeah.
Normally we like to bring it into a conversation. It's like, I can't stand USP dumping, you know, going to
Yeah,
meetings
yeah,
like
yeah.
no
Here it is,
minimum
voila.
cover, no maximum age. It's like, no, come on, guys, like, you know, like we don't do that generally. And if any broker says to me that my guys are doing that, please come and have a word
Criteria
with me.
dumping must be the one, the pet hate that everyone's. But
Oh,
somebody must be doing it because everyone hates it. So someone's doing it to hate them.
yeah, no, you're right. I think look, don't get me wrong. In some situations, it kind of works, but
I
not
think if you're
really.
training new people as well, you go into a brokerage and they'll have new guys and they need
Yeah,
to know exactly what you do, don't
yeah,
they? That's not a
yeah,
criteria dump.
absolutely.
It's more that
No,
saying it every
no,
time.
yeah,
I want to touch on this actually because it's not always about the product with specialist lending. It's a lot about the relationship side of things. And you
yeah.
said at the beginning you're a very good relationship builder. That's why you wanted to move when you were in banking. How important is that for your guys? Because whenever I speak to the BDMs or even I speak to brokers, it's not, no one's looking at all the time for the cheapest, are they? They want that connection. They want to know they can pick up the phone. They want to know that they can do the deal, and then they want to know that the customers looked after. How important is that for you as a business?
Absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. So we've got, I would probably say, uh, and I'll continue to say this, I've got one of the strongest team in terms of building relationships and having those relationships as well. Um, we have a premium edge. We're never going to be the cheapest.
Yeah.
I hope we'll never be the most expensive either. But we do, in terms of our turnaround times, we are quicker and smoother than I would like to think that anyone that's manually underwriting. Let's not forget,
Yeah, yeah,
we are a specialist lender and we
yeah.
will still manually underwrite, which is a good
That's a great
USP.
thing as well, because if you
It
want the
is.
USP of super speed, yes or no, that's
Yeah.
AI, right? That's not
Yeah,
manual underwriting.
absolutely. And actually, I don't think you can really do that in the specialist market. The sort of
Really
stuff
hard.
we
So
do.
many variables. Not yet,
They
anyway.
so
Until those computers take over.
relationships are huge for us.
Yeah,
I would like to think that we've got one of the strongest relationships with our brokers. I
yeah.
mean, we celebrate with them. We don't just, you would have probably seen, well, you may not have done, Cy Nathan doing a big shout out this morning.
I did.
Um, on a 21 million pound, and that's a 21 million pound facility for one of his clients.
That boy's
We've met the
incredible,
client.
isn't
He's on fire. And he always asks cheeky questions, but he's like, well, if I don't ask, I don't get.
Yeah, but also
But
like
yeah, he's
knowledgeable as
great.
well, right? You never go who's
Super
taking the
knowledgeable.
mic. You just know that you're move. That's specialist lending, right? That you can
Yeah,
move the
absolutely.
edges.
He
It's within the
knows
tennis court, but you can play wherever you want in it.
he knows how to structure a deal, and
Yeah,
he packages it really well as well. So that would just be one example of what we do. So that's kind of echoed across the whole of the UK now. We've got some
yeah,
really strong brokers, but just it becomes a bit more of a friendship. Like, don't
yeah,
get me wrong, there's lines and there's boundaries,
yeah, yeah.
but you work together as more of a partnership. So
I
my
think it's
guys,
really obvious as well when you meet someone like him and meet someone like you. Like he's probably the best relationship builder I know when it comes to with his clients.
yeah,
He's incredible, and that shows in his figures, right? Because
yeah.
he's incredible at what he does, but he doesn't miss a trick. And I think that's the same for BDMs, isn't it? He's never missing an opportunity when you're speaking to clients. He's always on it, and it's just
It's the
it's a
little
good
things they pick up. Do you know
yeah.
what though? Interestingly enough, and obviously I've done quite a bit of recruitment since I was appointed. When I was a BDM, there were so many BDMs. I would come out of a meeting and Charlotte Williams, it was honestly, me and her would use, and we were in competition together.
Yeah.
We really were.
Do you think they did that on purpose? They think you used to line up the meetings right next to each other so you'd see
I
each
would
other?
come in and she'd be walking out, and but you don't, I don't see that anymore.
Really?
I really don't. I do think COVID's changed how we operate as a sales.
Do you think that's on your side, or do you think that's on the side of the broker as well, that perhaps they don't want to see as many people? Because I don't know which side it is.
I think from my point of view, brokers now know that they need a quick answer, right? So deals are more precious than they ever have been. But I think we got used to having someone at the end of the phone for however long we're in lockdown, even when we're kind of out of lockdown, but still operating and working from home full time. I just think we got used to that working pattern where you could pick up the phone, the BDM was around and available.
Have you made that conscious effort to get your guys out? Do you want it out more than anyone else? Yeah.
I don't think relationships, like we said, are absolutely fundamental in our industry. There's only so much of a relationship you can build on a team. Cool. Yeah. And I want them not out just to get new business. We do a lot of business reviews of our brokers. So we actually sit there and work with them on their pipeline and say, right, how can we get this deal across the line? That's when the broker gets paid. Yeah. So that's the thing that's most important for us. It's not about when's your next dip or,
Can you do this? Can you do that?
It's all a numbers game, but we actually care about getting that deal and getting that outcome for the client. So I think we celebrate. I
think you miss so much by not seeing people face to face, because how many opportunities do you get when you get to the end of an hour-long conversation and someone could come up and you go, oh, and that would never have been picked up before, because when you phone up someone, you've got an agenda, haven't you? That's what you're calling them, because you've got an agenda. But actually, that non-agenda meeting is massive for business.
It really is. And do you know what? I've spent since the appointment set, I've spent more time out on the road than I ever have. Raw feedback.
Now you're not a BDM.
I love it. Yeah, I will. I don't think, regardless. I'm really happy at this level. I don't think I'd want to go to the next one. But I will always go out and see brokers, because they are the lifeline of our business. Yeah. And this is feedback, raw feedback. Every bit of feedback they've given over the last 5 months, we've changed. We've implemented it, and that is so important. The brokers being heard and being listened to is huge for them.
Yeah. How easy is that to do, to implement feedback? Because obviously you're going to get both, right? Positive and negative from all brokers.
I don't want positive. Positive doesn't actually.
That doesn't help. Yeah.
It doesn't help. What you're telling me something
I already know.
Yeah, or that's great, brilliant. And don't get me wrong, it's lovely to get praise. I'm not saying don't praise us, because my guys definitely, they definitely need it. Sometimes it gets difficult. For me, in order to change something, we can grow what's positive. So we do. If we've recently completed on a case, we will look at that application and we will work out what's gone really well, and then we'll try and replicate it time and time again. But in terms of negative, I'm always up for negative, because it's a challenge. I still like that challenge and that hunger of, right, you've given me a challenge to do such and such, let's go and change it.
Do you know, we've adopted something recently. We've adopted some customer journey software in the system, because we don't know what happens to the people that we can't help. This is kind of, when you're looking through at your weaknesses, and actually we're doing it, and some people were a bit like, oh, it feels like kind of digging holes in the process. I'm like, well, that's exactly what it's doing, but you've got to really embrace that. I want to know where I'm cocking up. Like, I think it's the same for people that don't want KPIs and stuff. But I want to know how I get better. I always want to improve.
I think it's a bit of a cheesy mantra, but if you don't know, you can't grow.
Yeah.
Because you can't. And that's like, in you, even your personal life. If someone thinks you're an absolute idiot, then I'd rather know that. And I'm sure there's many people that are listening to this thinking,
your phone going crazy in a minute.
She's absolutely nuts. You are going to ring her up and give us some feedback. But I do, honestly. I would rather just open. My phone's always open for a call. And
do you know what's really funny again about what I could learn and what we don't, is that I'm great with feedback with clients. I think, because I get it. I want to improve the business and that kind of thing. I'm not great at feedback personally.
You're not.
But however, I'm so aware of that now that I won't respond to feedback until I've gone away, because actually they're probably right. But
Yeah.
I need a minute.
It's an uncomfortable
Yeah, because
situation.
no one ever does something thinking they're wrong, or you don't
Yeah,
think this is a
no.
shit idea. I'm going to make everyone do this.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so when it's fed back to you, you've really got. But that's another learning for me. I've got to step back. So when people go, "You didn't answer," I go, "No, I'm taking it on board. We'll talk about it."
But it's how it's fed back as well.
Yeah,
You can give some really crap feedback in a really positive way.
yeah.
I'm still trying to master it. But
Yeah, I've heard it can be done. Yeah, I don't hear it like that. I hear it like you're right.
Yeah, no. Exactly.
Again, that's a learning, isn't it? You know, feedback is so important for business. But well, same as you grow personally, like you said. But it's just how you receive it and how you actually implement it.
And as
So
long as you do,
yeah, no, absolutely.
there's nothing worse than wasted feedback that just sits there and nothing happens with it.
Yeah, no, good. Can we touch on another subject? Let's go. And again, I'm always a bit dubious about this subject. We know we've talked about it before,
God.
but it's you're a great leader and a female. It's not the female bit isn't relevant, but we're talking about women in financial services before, and obviously we can say this because this podcast is on the Monday. Talk to us about what you've just you've got.
So yeah, I've
received.
been shortlisted. Well, not shortlisted, sorry, named as one of the winners for MI Most Elite UK Finance Industry. So one of the
Amazing.
I know, which is great. And
how nice is that? Was it a genuine? Because some awards, I mean, some awards are just awards, but that's impressive, right? To do that.
Do you know what? It's super impressive, but it's like 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks after I've just been shortlisted for B&C's Power List as well.
I saw the Power List.
So
yeah, well done.
I honestly, my head is I'm just overwhelmed right now, because everything, you kind of go into a new year, don't you? And you think, last year was all about building the foundations. This year was, I really want to make a difference, but not for me, for the team.
Yeah,
there will be nothing, there's nothing greater or prouder as a moment to see them walk up on stage and win BDM Team of the Year. It is about my team, honestly.
Yeah.
Really, and that's what
makes you win those awards separately. Because
Yeah,
you're not thinking, you're not doing your stuff you do to win personal awards, are you? But you're getting the recognition because of the stuff you do.
The gratitude, and even when I was shortlisted, my announcement was very much about my team. I can't do it about them. Yeah. But I'm absolutely blown away, honestly.
I'd love you to do a really selfish one. That'd be good. Just stand up and go, it's all me.
It's all about me.
It's all me. Yeah. You're all very welcome.
Yeah. So to be named as one of the most elite women in the UK finance industry is huge.
It is when you look at your peers that have got that, right? That's massive.
I've honestly, we go, I will all, I'll mention her name again. She would hate that I mention it, but Alex, I've always aspired. If you said to me, who do you want to be like or be on the same, Alex, she's phenomenal as a leader and as someone that's really strong as a female in this industry. So we talk about women in financial services, and I think it's getting better.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we feel like imposters. I felt like an imposter on Monday when I when I found out that I'd been named on the B&C Power List. I kind of, when you sit there and you want to put a post out on LinkedIn and you think,
how am I going to word it?
Yeah, how do I word this? And then you start.
It's a proud moment. It should be a proud moment. I don't know whether you're female or male for that. I think everyone kind of feels a bit like, people are talking about you. This in a positive light. None of us are big-headed enough to just take it on board and go, great. I probably could, but no, I don't know.
But it was.
That's why I've never won an award.
I think, it was, and obviously I put the announcement out. It's very overwhelming. So we're obviously going out with this announcement now. It does make me think, oh God, there's a lot going on.
Does it make you feel like you have to step up? But you kind of already stepped up because you've got the recognition for it. Is there a bit more of a weight on your shoulders with like the Power List and the Elite Awards and that kind of thing? Do you feel that, or is it just another?
I don't think it will change me as a person. I think it will probably open some doors in terms of being on panels, etc., and just getting my profile a little bit more out there. But in terms of anything else, no, I don't. It won't. I honestly don't believe I'll ever change as a person. I will never lose that humble grounding. Honestly, there were points. I even sent Alex a message that evening. I was like, I'm overwhelmed by the response, and I'm still so humble about that. I will never change that.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's still amazing. It's still nice. Like, it's great. It's
huge,
recognition, isn't it?
Huge, yeah.
I've always said that about awards. I said I'll never do any recruitment awards because I'm financial services. I don't think of myself as recruitment. But actually, getting recognition from your peers is important. It's to show that you're really good at what you do, and they understand it. They understand how hard your job is.
Yeah, I think the worst is when you actually go for an award and you sit there and you don't win it. And I've been on the receiving end of that.
That's probably why I actually don't go for awards.
I know,
it's a real like
it is a bit of a it is a bit of a blow, and you're kind of sitting there and you're waiting, and then it gets yours, and it's like, oh.
And people are looking at your reaction as well.
Because everyone's waiting.
You're looking, going, that's rubbish.
That did happen to me once. I went up to him at the end of the evening, and I shook his hand and congratulated him. And he kind of looked at me as if to say, "Who the hell are you?" And I thought, wow, wow, thumbs up, thanks for that.
Cheers, mate. I was in the same category, yeah.
So women in finance.
Is it a thing? I know again, we've had this conversation, and I always feel uncomfortable doing it because, like I said before, I'm a white, straight, middle-aged man talking about ED&I. It just seems like bullshit. But I do get it. Like, we've got to talk about it. But it's a fine line between talking about it and then separating it. Like, you're a great leader. I never talk about you as a great female leader. Like, we don't talk about Alex as a great female role model. She's a great role model.
No. Yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. I've seen it very differently recently. So I spoke to I was on the phone to Mia House recently. I adore her.
She's my neck of the woods, Southampton.
She's great. She really is. And she sees it from a different side. She sees it more from just be authentic. You don't have to label it. I think sometimes we females feel that we can't be authentic. We can't be. She was talking about the masculine and the feminine energy. Yeah. And just you can kind of be in between. You don't have to be too assertive. You don't have to be too aggressive. But if you're successful, it shouldn't really. It's irrelevant in terms of your gender. I don't hire people because they're female or male. I do try. When I recruit, I try and get an even split.
Yeah, but is that for the cultural or non-hive thinking? Because I'm struggling with the even split at the moment. As you know, we're 90% female, but that isn't because I'm high. That isn't because I hire females. It's because I hire the best people for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
And I haven't found, and wherever we've interviewed, and we'll interview everyone, it just they've come up top, and they prove that with how successful they are. So it's kind of a, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type situation. But
I would say I recruit 50-50. I like to have an even balance within the team, not because it fits within any culture, not because it fits within a tick box, just because I think it runs better. Yeah. Because I do, albeit I think we're becoming into an industry, we're creating an industry which is more fair. I do still think that, I sometimes feel like an imposter, but that's not even related to me being a female. It's just where I am in terms of my career journey. That's it.
Yeah. But it's funny how people will straight away put that down as because your female leadership, and actually, most leaders feel like that imposter syndrome when they go for any sort of level up in their life, don't they? It's just that's the nature of the beast.
Absolutely. I think we are becoming better. So if you look over the last 10 years, we've definitely had more females coming into the industry. Yeah. We're surrounded by strong females. We got Uliana, we got Alex, we've got Lisa Crane, we've got, who else have we got? That's 3 people that are directors. You've got Mia that's business development director. So we really are, we like to push the females forward, not because of anything, but because they're quality. Yeah, they are quality individuals that are ambitious and actually have the skill set.
Do you think it's easy enough to is entice the right word? Entice women into financial services because of that fact that it's been the nature of the middle-aged man type thing. When you think of it, the shiny shoe brigade.
Yeah.
Do you think it's starting harder to kind of entice women into an industry that's always been known for being a bit
boring?
Boring. A bit middle-aged, white.
You could sell something and make it really exciting. You could also sell it and make it really boring, right? Yeah. So it's. I think there's still we we need to do more in schools in
Yeah.
general with finance. But I do think, I'm trying to get into more. Both my nieces go to an all-girls school, so I want to go and do a careers day there, just because actually I think you can never guide the kids too much.
Yeah, but you can show you're passionate about it, can't you? And show there is a female passion in financial services.
I love this industry.
Yeah.
I love who I work for as well, in terms of it just excites me. And that sounds really sad.
But that comes across, it's not sad at all. Like, I love my job, and I love speaking to people who are passionate about it. That's why I love doing what I do. And it's that is gender neutral, being passionate, you don't
hopefully.
But at the same time, you will entice those young ladies at that school to want to do it through your drive.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, going back to what you said about the recent awards and being named, etc., that's probably the doors that I'll use it to open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can go out and
wouldn't it?
Yeah. So it's not just like, sales director. Not that anyone is just a sales director. I say to my BDMs, you're not just a BDM. Like, you're so much more. But it will, for the schools, they can say, and I would love to go in there, because I do believe, given a little bit of passion and talking about the industry differently, will actually encourage, regardless of gender. It will improve the younger generation coming through. And actually, we do actually need fresh blood to enter into this industry and actually bring innovative ideas, because there's only so much we can do.
We're getting
older. We are getting older. I keep on forgetting what I've had for dinner 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? I can't remember what I did last night. So we are getting older.
How they kind of entice that next generation in, and how they're going to do it, because it's not all about that top university or that graduate scheme, that kind of thing. It's all about getting different people from different backgrounds to actually a bit more creative thinking in the market.
Did you go to uni?
Me, I didn't even go to college.
No, I didn't go to uni. I went to college, but I didn't go to. I went to college and studied to be a travel agent.
Did you?
And I was a travel agent for a little bit.
Oh, really?
So I
did the genius thing of joining the military at 16. It was perfect for 16-year-old. Yeah, but that was the shortest. I've never mentioned that before. That's going to come on the podcast, because I was kicked out at 18, and that's when I went into experiences. So, but 2 years stint of being a child. Yeah, I won't say on here. But it did make me grow up, because I joined up. I thought I was a man at 16, and then you realise you're not. You beat. You're in training with 25-year-old men. However, I didn't go through college, I didn't through the university thing, but I do think there's a benefit of that. I know we've gone off on a tangent, but I've had to work really hard to get my network up. So there is a benefit of going through that education side of things, that just for network, just for not already being around those people and being used to it. So I think there's an element of that. I don't think we should ever lose that side of things, but at the same time, there's some great people who have never been to university as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, the basic skills for being successful, you don't necessarily need to learn at uni.
No,
we're not in sales anyway.
Rapport building and that kind of thing. I look at my 13-year-old and I think he will be fine, because he has his natural ability to build rapport, even with adults. He can stand at a barbecue and make adults laugh, and I think you'll be all right. Yeah, you'll be fine.
You'll be all right, whatever you do.
Exactly. So, because you can do that. And I think we kind of neglect the fact that he's not academically brilliant, but you'd be absolutely fine with rapport building. Sales is a skill that we seem to miss out in this country, like it's a dirty word. We're all salespeople. Like, I don't understand why it is, but you don't. If people go, "I don't want my kids in sales," we're all in it.
I love sales. I'll never stop. But you're right. My niece is exactly the same. Right little actress when you put her on stage, but in terms of academic,
but
she will. Do you know what? She will flourish whatever she wants to do, because she's got that sense of drive, but she's also got that personality, and that she can quickly build a rapport with someone. I could never. Could you stand on stage and start dancing around in front of 1,000 people? Because I know I couldn't.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe after a couple of drinks at the B&C.
We've actually got the same story about animals. Was that B&C? I turned around and spilled someone's drink over him, and then he turned around to tell you, and then you threw the drink over him. So we had both of our drinks all over his shirt, and I think he had to get up on stage. He won an award. So that was a good. That was
the first time we met, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We both threw a drink on someone, and then went, right. So good luck with the awards. So I've kept you for longer than I said I would, but I really appreciate your time. I could talk to you all day, but if someone's wanting to get into your side of the business, you know, maybe or they're coming from broking to lending, or they just want to step up, what? And I know we're not supposed to, or we're not touching on the whether female or not, but it's relevant, right? Because you've done it. You've got to where you need to be. But what kind of advice can you give someone if they want to kind of grow their career or move up the ladder? What kind of
I would say reach out to people within the industry, get some top tips, get a mentor. I think if they're broker and trying to move into lender market, either way, just reach out to someone that you know. I mean, LinkedIn is a great platform, right? There are so many influential people that you can just reach out to, have a conversation, get some top tips. Look, my inbox is always open, so always feel free. But
I was going to say that, actually, if anyone wants to get hold of you, how can they? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Just DM me. So hip, aren't I?
DM me.
Just DM
that
me
means
on
message for someone on LinkedIn. Just for
those
of us under.
I've just googled it. It's direct message. just send me a message on LinkedIn. But you have to. There's nothing better than understanding what the job really looks like.
Yeah.
If I could take some people that have been BDMs previously and they've wanted to go and be a broker, right, go and work in a broker's office for a month. If we could do more work experience, you know, a broker wants to be a BDM, look, go and do the job for a month and see how difficult it is, because like you said, there is no easy job. You've just got to be determined. You've just got to love what you do. That's it. Just love what you do, because every day is a holiday.
I will leave it with that quote, and you know I'm going to use that. I'm going to edit that bit at the end. Every day is a holiday. A bit of HR on you. Good. Thank you very much for your time, Andrea.
No
I really
worries.
appreciate it. Thank you to everyone listening and watching. If you want to get hold of Andrea, all of her I was going to say DMs, all of her socials will be on all of our marketing side of things. So, but again, thank you very much for your time, and I will speak to you soon.
Take care.
Cheers.